I'm actually going to just read a headline. I want to show you how easy this is. Khaby
Mm-hmm.
Lame is now the king of TikTok, having amassed the most followers in the world. Real simple.
Super.
Just you're telling the story. Could have
The
even put in.
who, it's
It
like
could
the basic W's: who, what, where, when, why. Like that's
could have
journalism
exactly.
101.
Could have told you the number. How many he has. Could have done that. But the thing was, the person who is now the most followed person on the biggest application, or I should say the top app, and the number one traffic website in the world is a bruh named Khaby Lame, from, I think he's initially from Senegal, but he lives in Spain
Hmm.
now.
I
And
think
it's just
Italy.
easy to say. And I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I think he's in Italy. He's
Italy. Okay. In Europe.
yeah.
But in the New York Post, and when I put this on Twitter, I didn't even link to them because I don't want to give them any shine at all. They just had such a blatant dog whistle. So what is her name? Charlie D'Amelio. Is that how you say
Charlie
her last name?
D'Amelio.
D'Amelio.
Hmm.
She was number one. Her name was in their headline. He is now number one. She's number two. His name wasn't. They referred to him as laid off factory worker. It's like, what the F? I mean, for real? It's like,
Y'all know
this
what
stuff is
time it
crazy.
is.
Exactly.
Y'all
We
know
do.
what
Like I
time it
said,
is. Number
it was
one,
a
consider the
dog
source.
whistle.
Consider the
Yeah.
source, number
Yeah.
one. I don't
Right.
know
It's
who
the
be
New York
watching
Post.
New York Post like that. And number two, y'all know what time it is. They
Absolutely.
clickbaity trying to get, they know how to play the game and they get us hook, line, and sinker
And
every
they knew
time.
that Black Twitter was going to be outraged
They know what
and
time it
was
is.
going to retweet and engage with it, even though it was, outraged. They knew. But for him, though, I think, Black Twitter had we had our moment. But for everybody else in the world
True.
who is not a part of Black Twitter,
Right,
this
right.
hurts him significantly because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people only read headlines,
Mhm.
to number one at all, but to make a determination about whether or not they want to click the link in the article. And this would have, if I didn't know who this person was already, this probably wouldn't motivate me to want to read this article and find out
Right.
who this
Mm-hmm.
person is and possibly go follow him,
Right.
because I was interested in his content or whatever. And that's the part I have a problem with. Like you messing with this dude's bag basically
Mm-hmm.
by making this headline the way you made it. And I don't think it wasn't intentional.
No, it was
Mhm.
definitely it was
Mhm.
definitely they intended this. There's no question. I think that they actually said, "How can we get clicks on this?" Like you
Mhm.
Mhm.
said,
Mhm.
let's dog whistle this title, and we'll get generally people who don't usually look at our stuff will be looking at our stuff because they're upset with it. There's
That's
no
right.
question in my
That's right.
mind that is that was the design. There was no accident.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
In
And
this.
unfortunately, that's like a lot of media outlets, even legitimate media outlets.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Clickbait is the strategy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Literally, clickbait is the strategy for whatever reason, good or bad, outrage or whatever. Just because that's what's driving revenue these days. And it's just sad that this is what we get and we continue to be disrespected and disregarded in this way, all for the dollar. You know what I mean?
And it may not be it, quite possibly two things be true at the same time, but it could also just be a straight clickbait thing and not necessarily a let's let's bring race into the issue. There's a tech um, website that gets a lot of one of the more popular ones, and they don't even do traditional sub titles anymore. Because when I used to do blogging and things like that, it was be like you said, who, what, when, where, why, right? Be real succinct, real specific, keep it as short as possible. But this this tech website that I follow now, they just don't care. They'll just put a whole paragraph in the title. They'll be like, guess what iPhone users are mad at now? You
Mhm.
find out now the details all in the title. I'm
Right.
like, y'all don't
Clickbait.
even y'all ain't even trying to
Y'all
come up
not
with
even trying.
that.
It's
Well,
it's
they
crazy.
they know it is an absolute numbers game. They need as
Mhm.
many clicks as they can get because ultimately when you're going to see that, I would say 9 times out of 10 or probably even more than that, 9 times out of 10 you're looking at this on Google. Maybe you're looking at it on Bing. Maybe you're looking at it on DuckDuckGo or something like that. But you're looking at this in the search engine. So if you need to tell people here's the news that we want to get out to you, please click this link. I mean, that's ultimately what they're doing when you see that whole paragraph there, because they know that most people are just going to scan those headlines and keep it moving. So they're trying to catch you with the whole story, hoping that you're going to click. So now you start seeing their ads.
And I feel like they probably didn't even want to write this story. I mean, I don't think any mainstream media outlet ever wants to write that a black person has overtaken a white person in anything. So I think they probably just didn't even want to write the story. They were like, who cares? Nobody even knows who Khaby Lame is, even though 3 point whatever million people seem to know who he is. And this was their way of writing it and getting, like you said, getting those eyeballs on it from people that wouldn't have cared in the first place.
But
that
not really showing the respect.
Right, but that don't mess with the New York Post like that anyway. I didn't even click on it. I'm curious to see how the article itself was written, but I just refused to click on the link to go see it. I'm like, you're not getting my click. But
I did read it
to see how the article.
I did read it because I just wanted to see how much worse does it get. So it took, it was like in the second paragraph before they actually said his name. But what was interesting, and I don't have the article right in front of me, but they referred to Charlie as like American sensation.
Absolutely.
Laid off factory worker who was the number one TikToker on the planet, or the number 2 American sensation. So there's no question in my mind what they were doing, and the internet reacted as it should have. But it's just like and this really isn't even they're not the only ones who are doing this. We talked back in January, I believe it was episode 19, about the top TikTokers as far as who was making money. And you had a whole bunch of folks who didn't look like us who were on that list, even though you had folks who look like us who are higher in some of them than numbers. And like there's no question in my mind right now that the D'Amelio sisters are they're making. I mean, they're a giant media company at this point.
An entire empire. Like they have a show on Hulu. They have their own clothing lines with like Hollister and Abercrombie and things like that. I mean, just everything for doing just the bare minimum. I mean, just so basic, talentless. Like it's like, what is really going on right now? And that was the other part that I wanted to make sure we talked about in this story, is that just in a conversation about social media in general, where everybody wants to be a content creator these days, everybody wants to be an influencer these days, these numbers don't mean shit, okay? Because Khaby now is the most followed person on TikTok, still not making more money than some of the other people on the platform, making far less than the D'Amelios. I mean, granted, maybe he, but regardless of what the thing is, these companies push these follower counts as the end all be all metric for people to find some level of success and blow up. And I'm gonna go viral if I got all these followers and followers. And they're only doing that to try to trick us basically into continuing to produce content on these platforms.
Or similar to how you are applying for a job and they want a college degree, right? But typically the job ain't nothing but some data processing or data entry or something totally unworthy of a college degree. But saying college degree, people who are trying to apply for the job, that may trick a lot of folks into saying, oh, I ain't qualified, so I'm not even going to apply. So it's almost like a weeding out process. So maybe these agencies, these marketing companies, whatever the case may be, are saying X, Y, and Z follower post count so they can have a legit out as the, well, not legit, a reason as to why they're choosing one person over another person, to where people, like you said, that may not have a whole lot of follower count, but have the juice, quote unquote. A company can say, oh, well, we didn't choose them because they didn't have the whatever numbers we were looking for, when all the while they really wanted to pick this person anyway, but they just needed a reason not to pick these people who may be a better fit or or may just not look like the people they want advertising
Yeah,
their
I don't think
products.
the brands are checking for us at all. I'm talking about the platforms though. They
Gotcha.
they they have you with this gold rush, this feudal gold rush for these followers, and leading you to believe if you get these numbers up, all of the road will be paved in gold to these
Right.
brand deals. And
Right.
that's just not the case. It's
Right.
just not. This brother got 150, almost 145 million followers. And yeah, man, and granted, he making a little bit of money. I think they were saying he gets like $90,000 per sponsored post. So that's not change.
No,
It,
that's not chump
it
change.
still ain't
He's
as much
making
as
money, but it's not as much.
it's not
It's
as much
like
as somebody else who has fewer followers than him.
Right. Right.
And and when you look at total net worth, I'm sure he didn't make $27.5 million last year, which is what the D'Amelio sisters made.
right,
So
and they're gonna make more than that this year. And
absolutely.
here's the other part of it as well. You can say, well, he's in Italy. He's not here in the United States. So this is where a lot of this media is being driven from. And it's like, yeah, but
Yeah,
these,
but
there are folks who are here who are still making more money from brands in other places because I'm not going to say I'm not we can all conjecture and kind of assume what those reasons are, but I just think back to the commercial that TikTok did where they took his thing of basically, for those who don't know who Kobby Lane is, he is the guy that you will see someone trying to make a name for themselves on one of these social media platforms doing something simple but they're doing it in a very, very
overly
complex way.
complicated. Yeah.
He will then watch the video and then he'll just show you how to do it in a very easy way. So like somebody was trying to use a drill to put like a brush on the end of a drill to comb through her hair and ended up pulling out a big swatch of the hair. So that's what she does. And then he just takes a brush and just brushes his hair and it's like this and still has hair on his head. Just things like that. He just shows you and they are funny. I mean, he is a comedian. This is what he is calling himself, and this is what people should call him. He is doing, comedic stuff, and it is quite funny. But TikTok, they used that in a commercial. The commercial had Ty Lue in it. The commercial had Allen Iverson in it. It didn't have him in it. It's like, you're going to take his stuff, which they are entitled to do, because remember, he's doing this on their platform.
You on that platform
TikTok,
at all? You already
that's my-
signed that. You already signed that away.
Yep. So
Yep.
TikTok is not doing anything that he didn't, sign, his rights away to allow them to do. But it's just interesting that you're going to go and hire, because I promise you that Ty Lue got paid to do that commercial. I promise you that everybody else in that commercial that showed up in it got paid to do it. That Allen Iverson got a check for that. Who didn't get a check? Kobby Lane.
And
So
that brings up the point we got to get as content creators. We have to get away from being so beholden to these platforms, and
That's right.
we have to figure out a way to get your content to your people with as little as middleman in between, because that way you can get direct feedback from your consumers, a whole host of things that are available to you, versus you uploading your content to a platform that now owns that content.
That now owns it.
And you can't guarantee that you're going to get any sort of equal trade-off from it,
Right.
unless you are doing all these crazy things that may be outside of what you originally want to do,
Right.
but you're just following trends. You're trying to see analytics of who's doing what, and okay, well, I guess I
And
need
then
to
they
do
switch
that.
up the algorithm every day anyway.
And then you're
Right.
back
So
at
you
square
can do
one.
all of that and it still don't work. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I just want to make sure, like, any young people listening right now that aspire to be influencers and content creators, I think it affects, their mentality a little bit more when they look at followers. Like I, when we were in DC, we were talking to a young lady who was like, oh my God, because some rapper was there. I don't even know who the rapper was, but he was staying at the hotel we were staying at. And she was all excited because he was verified. Oh my God, he had a blue check and everything. Like we just place way too much importance on these things, blue checks and follower counts and things like that. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't amount to a hill of beans. I mean, you can exploit it for as long as you can to get whatever you can out of it while you can. But the second they flip that switch on that algorithm, you be starting from scratch again.
Mm-hmm.
When I talk about social media, I've been doing this more and more. It's a couple times a month now that I'll be in front of people actually talking about social media, talking about podcasting, doing these kind of things. And oh yeah, I'm trying to get my Instagram. Instagram seems to be the thing right now for, everybody wants to get their Instagram numbers up. And I tell folks, it's like, I would rather have 100 people following me on the email list than probably, I think I'd take 100 email followers who subscribe to a list, who are actually opening and looking at my emails. I would trade that for 10,000 followers on Instagram.
It's way more valuable.
Because if I can send you an email, I'm sending you what I want to send to you. I can see whether or not you're opening it up. I can actually, interact with you through that. You can become a super fan, or a super follower, by interacting with someone, through email. Whereas when it's on, once on Instagram, somebody saw it. And that's all unless they click through, and it's ridiculously difficult to even get metrics from people clicking through, on Instagram, clicking on your bio, because you can't even put a link in Instagram. You've got to do it in your bio unless you're buying ads. So it's just, own your content.
It's a
own
scam.
Your content.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
Yeah. There is a white paper. I believe the guy's name is Kevin Kelly. 1,000 True Fans. And he basically goes through, if you have, just to paraphrase, what this whole manifesto that he's written is about, if you've got 1,000 people rocking with you, you can make a nice middle income from 1,000 people. And, folks are thinking, oh no, I got to get 150,000, followers on Instagram. It's like, nah, that's not necessarily the way you should go. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get them. I'm just saying that's not the only way. There are other ways.
Chasing them. Yeah. You should.
You got to be careful about these gurus though, because where did you see that? On Instagram.
Now, actually, this white paper has been out for years. It came out well before Instagram. Yeah,
but but they be right there talking shit about the shit that the platform that they own.
Right. And make sure you follow the Tech John on Instagram, please.
Yeah, seriously.
And Twitter, and Facebook,
at Rubber Tech,
and all the things.
At Robb
everywhere.
Right.
All around the way. I will say we had a conversation in our group chat about fan base. And Isaac Hayes the third and his whole thing. I'm not gonna really go too deep into it, but he did say one thing that I was like, that's true. He was like, he was like, you can have followers on Instagram or you can have a fan base on his app. And there's a difference. There is a difference. You have those people that are loyal, that are paying, that want to see your content and will come back again and again, repeat customers, basically. There is a difference. And I don't know when anybody is gonna, I don't want to say wake up necessarily, but I don't know when that shift is going to happen, but I think that shift will happen.
Oh, we know it's happening because Instagram is trying to take all that fan base functionality and put it into their application. So he's hit on something. And like I said, I'm not stumping for fan base, but something that he said was interesting. It's like, if you're on here and you're interesting, it's impossible not to make money. It's virtually impossible. It is virtually impossible to be. He's like, now, if you're bland and you're not interesting, people ain't going to rock with you. But if people are following you on this platform, the platform, it's from its inception, is designed to allow the creators to monetize their content. That's what it's there for.
Yep.
And he's basically just playing middleman in that. So maybe one day we'll talk about that. There's some other things that we would need to.
We'll have to get him on the show. Isaac Hayes III, holla at Tech John. Come on the show. Tell us all about fan base and why we should be there, and why Black creators especially should be flocking to your platform. Come through.